it really might have slowed me down emotionally. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that look at the success of others and look at the pace of others and evaluate themselves against that. I think it just doesn't matter. Hey guys, I wanted to tell you a little bit of a story about something that happened to me on my leadership journey building Humble Bunny from the time I was in college until now. Something that really could have brought me down, but it didn't. When I was just finished high school, I was about to enter college, and in American colleges, you often go to the campus before classes start to set up your class schedule, and part of that process includes more or less a language check, right? So I go to the Japanese, language test to determine what class I was gonna qualify into, basically. And I meet a guy there. I'm gonna call him Jay. And Jay's a cool guy. Over talking, I found out that he had studied Japanese for 3 years. I had studied 4. I felt good about my Japanese. I'd been to Japan. And we go into the test, and I don't see him, because everyone kind of leaves separately when they finish their test. And I didn't see him for a while. The school starts, the school year begins, and I run into him at one of the other dorms on the campus, and we start talking, and I found out that, I'd spent 4 years in high school studying Japanese, and I had tested into second semester. Pretty poor. First year, second half of, that's it. That's all I was at the end of high school. 4 years of study. It is what it is. Language education, not so easy, right? In talking with him, I said, by the way, are you taking Japanese? What level are you in? And he's like, yeah, I'm in 3rd year. He's in 5th semester, and I only tested in the second. Kind of in second place at this point, right? I don't really worry about it too much. Life goes on. Jay's a cool guy. We continue hanging out and stuff. And then one day Jay says, hey, do you want to come to our breakdance class? I thought breaking was pretty cool. It wasn't really something that I'd done much. So I started in break class, and we're going there together. There's a bunch of other guys being as well, a couple girls as well. Over the course of, I would say 10 to 15 sessions, I'm not really making much progress. I learned a few footwork things, a few things on the ground, but nothing really difficult. And I'm watching Jay's progress, and he's easily the top in the class, one of the top 2. He's doing windmills, he's doing all kinds of really cool stuff. And here's me, not really making much progress. So, is this my second experience being in second place, kind of behind Jay? So, fast forward quite a few years later, I'm in Japan. And one day, I get a message from Jay. And he's like, hey, it looks like you're in Japan. You're doing Humble Bunny, which at that time was primarily an outlet for my graphic design work. And he says, why don't you come around to this company I'm working at, come around to our office, and let's talk about maybe doing a web build together. So I go around, I'm really excited to see Jay again. Obviously I've always looked up to Jay, I've always had a really great relationship with him. And we get to the office, we exchange business cards. He's pretty high up, kind of tech lead for this really cool kind of tech startup based in Tokyo. Obviously, man, look at this guy. He's just killing it. And I'm just starting Humble Bunny, real grassroots, really small, pretty much just me at that time. Man, he's just flying ahead of me. And what I realized is it didn't matter to me. We see the positives of what each other are doing. We might not necessarily see the negatives of what each other are doing, but either way, everyone has their own path. I realized if I really dwelled on the fact we were leading these very similar paths, but that his path was always a little bit ahead of mine, if I'd really dwelled on it, it really might have slowed me down emotionally. And I think that there are a lot of people out there They'll look at the success of others and look at the pace of others and evaluate themselves against that. I think it just doesn't matter. I feel very successful in my place now. You know, running Humble Bunny as CEO for quite a few years. We have one of the best boutique marketing agencies in Tokyo, Japan. Let's go for that. Done a few $1 million of revenue over the years, and life is amazing. And I think everyone's going at their own pace to it. You know, he might have seemed fast-tracked to me, and other people might seem fast-tracked to you, and you're envious of them. But there's no rush to this. You keep your course, you keep your pace, and you're gonna find the success that you deserve. It's just gonna come to you, especially if you keep positivity in your heart. So those two things are really important. Don't dwell on others and trust in your own pace. The third thing that we want to address here is the positivity. Staying positive and having a positive mindset. Sometimes you can receive positive inspiration from others like Jay just by kind of sitting back, watching him or her do his thing, and just saying, wow, I really appreciate that person. You could even bring them closer to you and say, let's hang out more. I'm inspired by you. Which might be a great way to actually fast track your path if you surround yourself with people who are positive energied and doing really great things. Another way you can find positive inspiration, and again, this is a very similar notion, it's all about environment. Finding an environment for yourself where there is positivity and belief around you, and people who are going to lift and support you, and yeah, just believe in you. Choose your mindset. Choose truth for yourself, and choose the people you surround yourself with, even if it seems competitive. And I think when you find that inner peace with the path that you're on, and you remove the comparative out of that conversation, you'll find better peace for yourself, and you'll find you're actually more inspired to hit the targets that you're going for. Hey guys, I want to do a quick amendment to the video that I just made about Jay. I have kind of a crazy story. Jay reaches out to me. I haven't talked to this guy in like 4 years. It's just amazing. Like, what are the odds that something like that happens? You know, the way I don't know, just the way you put things out there, and the world moves in different ways just around that. But what was really amazing is I just went out to drinks with him, and of course he doesn't know about the video or anything, so I told him about it, and of course he was really surprised that I'd made the video and that I was having these thoughts and the kind of the way I'd considered him. But we were talking, and I had this flashback while we were talking to one of my first ever big moments in my leadership journey when I felt I needed to make a change. So we have this sort of sickness as human beings that when things don't really go our way, we tend to make a story up in our mind to sort of resolve it and try to understand it and try to make sense of it. But 9 times out of 10, 2 things happen. The story is wrong, and 2, the story tends to go to a negative place because, again, it's a situation that's gone wrong that we're trying to resolve. And a lot of times in that scenario, it doesn't really serve the other person or serve you as a leader or as an individual when your mind goes to that place. But the reason why I had this flashback is because while I was telling the story to Jay, he was correcting me on some of the information. So I'll be clear, he was still way ahead of me, even the corrected information. Some of it was less dramatic, some of it was more dramatic, but he was still way ahead of me, if not equal, maybe even still more so. But it made me realize that I'd been practicing this art of not making stories up in these kinds of situations in my leadership experiences, but I accidentally didn't apply that new skill in this personal situations. At least for me, I'm empowered that I didn't focus on his story too much, and I felt comfortable in my own skin, and now I feel like I've achieved a modicum of success. Always a journey, but we might be wrong in these comparisons even. So it's arguably worse than what we actually think it is. I just wanted to add this little appendix to the end of the video. You guys continue to live your path and live your journey and be you along the way, and I'll catch you on the next one.